J-Moore, the very best reviews. Tell them none can contest, we gon'
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We got a good night to talk about some TV. I'm talking about The Time Traveler's Wife, EP.2. Another good, solid episode. It was very interesting to learn a lot more about the time traveler and his relationship with his wife. We also had a good episode with Barry. Another solid episode for EP.5 for Barry. We starting to see that Barry is really out of touch, and what some of the things that happened in this episode was definitely crazy, funny, and it's really getting even better. I hate that it's only like 3 episodes left. And lastly, The Baby with another solid episode as well. This was a lot more about the backstory of the mother of the baby. And so now we learned that this old lady is more intertwined with the baby than we probably ever realized. And now it makes more sense why she's been following and caring about this baby and what the baby has been up to. All right, so The Time Traveler's Wife, EP.2 was very interesting because what we learned is that he has been trained by himself, meaning that he's gone back in time and trained himself at a younger age. And Henry, who is the time traveler, has no real control over how he time travels. And that is kind of based off of his emotions, whether he gets upset or too attached to certain things. He has a real connection with his mom in the sense that he was in the car with her when she had a crazy car accident in the winter time and was decapitated right in front of him while he was in the car. And because that was such a pivotal moment in his life, he always time travels back to that point at different ages. So he was there, and it's really unique how they show this and film this. I'm starting to really enjoy this show more. They showed him there when he was 8, when he was, in his 20s, 30s, 40s, all at the same time, just in different spots around the accident, seeing it. And you would think, why doesn't he try to prevent it? And he has tried to prevent it at different points in his life, but it never seems to work. And as he was telling his younger self, no matter what happens, you can never really stop it. Something will either stop you from making this happen, or when you try to say things, it won't work. Nobody will believe you. And it's really kind of sad that he has to live this way and deal with life this way. If you had to go through a tragic moment in your life and relive it over and over and over again, and you can't do anything about it, that would definitely be difficult and definitely hard on you as a person. We learned a lot more about his future wife and their relationship and what happened with them, and how he met her as a kid, and she asked him a little bit about why he's sad, and he said, when you're in Geneva and you see a green man, ask me and I'll tell you. And it seemed that when they were getting ready to go somewhere, she said she's going to have control over their fate. And so she said, well, where were you going to take me for lunch? And he said, here. She said, well, I'm going to go across the street. Just so happened Geneva was on the wall, and the guy painted green, who was a child performer, gave her this drink that this guy green gives you. That's the key, and that's what happened. And it was just crazy how fate has this major role in his life, no matter that he could time travel or not. You're right, I do need to have a little bit of gin, a little agua. Appreciate you for coming through as always. I see a lot of people ain't up right now ready for this. Shout out to Kendall. Thank you so much for the support. Just finished watching Barry and the Baby. Those was definitely 2 good episodes tonight. Thank you for the super chat. Of course, I got a video to play for you. This is an oldie but goodie. Thank you so much, Kendall, for the super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Barry and the Baby were excellent episodes, and I'm gonna get to those in a second. Barry is really losing it. You know, he definitely don't know that he's out of touch. But like I say, I'll talk about that in a second. So, what's good, Ill Woods? So, this dude ends up having to hide memories and things of his mom because they could be triggering and make him time travel back to different moments. And so in order to protect himself from himself, he hides these memories in this basically library. And when they were talking, he took her there and happened to have a tape. And he said, what is the question you would ask my mom if you could ask her? And she said, after, thinking about it, that why would people get together? And while he had this tape of his mom, who happened to be an opera singer, he had paused the tape when he asked that question. And then he played the question, and she said, this is a question from, and it said her name, Claire. And she was like in shock that this was happening. And she said, how did she hear me? And he said, well, she didn't hear you. I asked her because he's able to back. So when he did that moment, he asked her the question that she was about to ask, because when he would know what she was going to ask already. And she answered it at that concert. And I thought that was pretty tight. That was cool. It was a couple things that was really crazy. This is on HBO as well, Kendall. So HBO, 3 shows in a row. The Time Traveler's Wife come on at 9. It's over with at 10. At 10 is Barry, and it's over at 10:30. And from 10:30 to 11 is The Baby. So all 3 shows is HBO. HBO got 3 nice shows on right now, and it's definitely worth checking out. This is only the 2nd episode, and this is based in Chicago also, which I do like watching them in the city with different things going on. I think that's pretty cool to see. But not only that, it's a very interesting show, different than anything else on TV. One thing that she asked him is about relationships and things, and she asked him also, did his parents know he was a time traveler? And he said, not my mom, but my dad. And she said, well, how did your dad find out? And he said, well, it was a very bad way. And she said, well, how did your dad find out? you were a time traveler. And he said, well, I was 16. And then we see him in the bed getting some Eddie Murphy, getting some head. And then the father walks in, and the person underneath giving the head pulls the covers back, and it was himself. Oh no. Even if I could time travel back and do that, I would not do myself. That is insane. And I don't think people, and he said he not gay, but he was 16 and he was trying something out, which that's gay. If you're gay, that's fine, but that's your business. But doing yourself, that's on a whole nother level, a whole nother level. And I don't know about that. And then that was, oh man, I definitely wouldn't want to walk in on my son doing himself. And that's how I found out he was a time traveler or any of that. I wouldn't want to walk in with him doing anything, but let alone doing himself. That was crazy. But uh the show overall is very interesting. He was kind of giving himself, his younger version of himself, like training boot camp on how to survive, because every time he time travels he arrives somewhere butt naked with nothing. So he got to learn how to steal money, steal clothes, and survive for however long he is in that time period. And so he was training himself, his 20, 30-year old self was training his 8-year old self how to pickpocket, how to scam, how to survive. And his younger self wasn't realizing that it was himself that was teaching him until they had this little moment and he finally figured it out. And because the younger self looked at it as, this mean guy is teaching me how to time travel and do bad stuff. And then he realized what really was going on and he felt really kind of sad. But in the end, these were skills that he was going to need. And one thing that he did break down to his younger self is that even when people are you that dead in your life, they're not really dead, but everybody technically is waiting to die. But that nobody for us is permanently dead, because it's like we're on auto shuffle mode and we'll always see people again. So even if your mom is dead, you'll see her again alive. You just don't know what time period and how old you'll be. So it showed that he was a part of his mom's life, basically his whole life, in his kid stages, in his 20s, 30s, 40s, but it was at different points. And the mom didn't recognize him as a grown person. If you got an 8-year-old and your 8-year-old, 30-year-old version of that 8-year-old walks up and talking to you, you wouldn't know what it would look like. You wouldn't pick up on it. And he even saw himself when he was younger, and his parents. He even saw his parents' introduction to each other, their proposal. I mean, it's pretty cool in a way to be able to see some of this stuff that happened before you was born, in a way. So it's pretty interesting and a pretty good show, and I like it, and I'm gonna continue watching it to see how it turns out. So far, so good. Let me go ahead and give it a rating. We're gonna talk about Barry. All right, so the MOSCO, for those that are new, is 4 simple categories with a top score of 25 for each category. and it gives you a total score of 100. You can break it down a decimal point to get a score of 1 to 10 on the scale. On average, anything in the sevens is a C, eights is a B, and nines or better is a A. Let's get into it. So the first is visuals and cinematography. This episode really showed that they are doing something different with the visuals and cinematography, showing different versions of him at the same location at multiple places in his life. And it was really unique, really kind of cool to see a little something different on how that was filmed with the camera tricks and things, and talking to his younger self, and they were showing the scars and different things. And overall, the way that it's shot is pretty cool. It's like they're in an interview and she's talking to somebody. And overall, I like how it's shot. It's unique, top notch, new cameras. So overall, I would give it a 20 for this episode. Storyline and plot was very good. It explained a lot more about his background, his mom, his relationship with how he time travels and things. And I would get at a 20 as well. Special effects, makeup, costumes. The costumes aren't really over the top. It's contemporary clothing. The makeup, I mean, they was showing the scars and things, but the special effects are very well done. Showing that the car accident, although they didn't actually show the mom, the gruesome part, but overall, the car accident, showing the guy in different locations, talking to himself, different things happening. Very good special effects. Not the greatest I've seen, but very good. And I would get at a 20. And entertainment, fun factor, it was very entertaining. I enjoyed this episode. And I would give it a 20, which would bring it to a total most score of 80. All right. Episode 3 is an 80. All right. Which is a solid B. So this now let's get into Barry. All right. Barry is another good shows in a row playing, and that is The Time Traveler's Wife, Barry, and the Baby. All right. So, Kendall, I saw this too. I was just like, wow. I thought it was just me. So Kendall said, "What's up with the bags under Sally's eyes?" Sheesh. Kendall, I thought that was just me realizing that. I mean, she's carrying some luggage. Them ain't bags, that's matching luggage. And I felt bad for her because I don't think that's part of her character. I think that's who she really looks like. And I was like, what's going on? I don't remember her looking like this before. And wow, like what in the world? I felt bad for that, really kind of brought attention to that. Now I did see, and I think first or second episode, she had those like stickers on her eyes. So maybe it is part of the show. I'm not sure. Maybe they trying to show that she's been working really hard on her show Joplin, and she was carrying luggage to prove it. And because they did have an episode where she had some type of, stickers under her eyes or something. So I don't know. But it's funny that you say that, because when I was watching this episode, I thought the exact same thing. Like, wow, she looks like she needs some rest. and I'm being nice. All right. So this episode 5 for Barry was excellent. I really enjoyed it. It had a lot of great funny things going on. Fuchs is just a straight biatch. He is trying to do everything he can to get Barry whacked by a bunch of people that are not professionals, and we saw what happened at the end. Fuchs is a coward because he don't want to confront Barry himself, so he's trying to get a bunch of people upset to do it that don't know what in the world they're doing. We saw that the that NoHo Hank, hey, this is NoHo Hank. We saw that his crew pretty much got wiped out by the Bolivians now that Cristobal's wife is in town, and she's upset her father's killed. And they had one of Hank's, the big boy of Hank's crew. He was talking to the people back home, the Chechens, and while he was trying to show a better view of the operation, he went up to get an aerial view of their garden. It just so happened the Bolivians showed up and wiped out the rest of the crew, and then the cops showed up and they had a shootout. They had dude with the suicide bomb and everything. I mean, damn, that was crazy. Definitely crazy how he was live streaming the whole thing. And they're like, this is shit show. You must bring yourself back. We need to have talk. This is bad operation. He ended up dropping the damn phone, getting the hell out of there. And Hank, oh man, Hank almost got killed. And Hank was laid up with Cristobal. You know, we can have a good life together. You know that, right? Hey, this is no Hank. How is it, Hank? Uh, Next thing you know, he gets the call that they got wiped out by the Bolivians and that it was, Cristobal's wife. So Cristobal said, I'm sorry, Hank. And Hank busts out, run and hide in the closet. And she looks like she sees him in the closet. But when I said how she was looking, I'm like, it must be something on the wall. Sure enough, it's a picture of Hank and Cristobal booed up. Oh man, was she mad to see that, boy? Definitely. She saw them on there booed up. She like, oh hell no. My husband is with NoHo Hank. Oh, this is a problem right here. And Hank, boy, he was holding his breath in that closet. He was not trying to get found out. He thought he came out the closet years ago. He ended up back in the closet, no doubt. He definitely wasn't coming out the closet again. And it's crazy what happened at the end. Barry was going there. He made some childish ass picture talking about this is what I'm about with some Wheaties and Michael Jordan and this and that, and was leaving the keys. And Sally's show got canceled after just 12 hours? Her show got canceled in 12 hours. They talking about the algorithm and this, that, and the other. I mean, damn. She had a great Rotten Tomatoes score. They didn't even give her show a chance. And she got canceled. So what they ended up doing is she going back home. She crying. And we see that Barry trying to comfort her because he didn't plan on her being there. And he's like, well, because she's telling her about how she was canceled. She's telling him rather about how her show was canceled. And he's trying to comfort her. So he's like, well, where does the boss basically, where does she live? And she said, why? Are you going to write her an angry letter? Oh no, nothing like that. I mean, I would, you know, maybe take a picture of her sleeping and send it to her, mess with her mind, take like he started naming all this creepy psycho stuff and talking about, yeah, I learned it in the military, also this chat rooms and stuff. And she looked at him like, no, you need to get the hell out of here. And he's like, what's the problem? Is it something I said? And the whole time, one of the people that Fuchs told that he had killed one of their loved ones, the mother and son, they about to go and assassinate him. They waiting for him outside. And when he come out, they talking to each other about how they're going to take him out. And what they end up doing is she ends up shooting her own son in the chest. And don't know what the hell they doing. You're right. They are not professionals. And Barry, he's like, he heard the damn gunshot in the car, so he had to know he a professional. And then they pull off like they did. He probably was like, man, what in the world? I mean, that was just crazy. And I mean, damn, man. Another great episode for Barry. A lot of coincidental things that happened. We also saw Mr. Cousineau invited to that dinner party. He pissed off a lot of people, boy. I mean, damn. He pissed off a lot of people. He can't even apologize right. And I don't know what's going to happen. He ended up trying to be nice and apologize, and that backfired. But at the same time, it looked like his career is picking up at least, so we'll see what happened. And then also, this FBI agent that Barry was served in the military with and saved his life after getting shot in the face knows that these cops are a bunch of idiots. He knows that Hank was lying, talking about the Raven is the hitman assassin, the Raven. And now he's going to be on the case. And who knows? He does think Barry was a good guy for saving his life and serving with him. But who knows if he may be on to Barry new identity. We'll see. Barry is definitely a good show to watch. I wish more people would watch these HBO right now. Definitely worth watching. And who knows? Hopefully people will pick up on them. We'll see. Now it's time for the Mosco for Barry episode 5. All right, the Mosco, 4 separate categories, 25-point score for each category, giving you 100. You can always round it down a decimal point to get you a score of 1 to 10. I always give a 0.5 margin of discretion in either direction. Visuals and cinematography was excellent. I like how they showed the coincidence with the Chechens and the Bolivians and coming to wipe them out while one guy was live streaming the whole thing. That was funny. We saw how the mother ended up shooting the son in the car and Barry's reaction. Sally and everything going on with her. I like his used top-notch cameras. It's a good show, and I would give it a 20 for the visuals and cinematography. Storyline and plot is good. This was a good episode. We seeing what's happening with Cristobal, Barry, NoHo Hank, which I have a story to tell about Hank after this. And overall, the plot is still going strong. Barry is a very good show to me, and I wish it was more time than 30 minutes. But I give it a 20 for storyline and plot. special effects, makeup, costumes, nothing really over the top. I mean, we did see the guy shot in the face and how his skin maybe was healed and different things. But overall, not too much special effects. The son got shot in the car and a couple other things, but overall, nothing too over the top. And I like that this show still is, reason as far as keeping it somewhat. Overall, I give it a 20. And entertainment, fun factor. This was a very entertaining episode, made me laugh. It was, I was upset that this goes by so fast. And I would give this episode a 25 for entertainment, which would give it 85. Kendall is hilarious, saying that Sally's bags may get it better ratings for costume, makeup. But overall, Barry, episode 5 is a 85, which is a solid B plus, and I think it was a very good episode. Um, Definitely, you should watch Barry if you haven't already. It's a good show, definitely worth the watch. And if you want to catch up, so only 8 episodes, the first 2 seasons, and 30 minutes of episodes, so you can catch up in no time. Lastly, for tonight, we're going to talk about The Baby, and this is also episode 5 for The Baby. And this episode, we didn't see our main character, Natari, of The Baby, and how this baby came to be, as well as the old lady and what she's about. The old lady that we know is Miss Eves, and we got to see Miss Eves as a young woman, and we saw that she's lived a forbidden lesbian lifestyle at one point when she was younger, and it was very frowned upon, and they had to meet up in secret locations and bump tacos and all that good stuff. And we learned that her lover was actually married and was tipping out on her husband. The husband's he was paying, and the grief. He said he wanted to have a baby with her. He ended up doing his business on her like Mister from Color Purple, and she didn't want to have a baby. She kept it a secret from who she did love, Miss Eves, and eventually it came out. Now the husband, she actually went with Miss Eves to have an abortion, and while there, somehow was rendered unconscious. And when she woke up, the husband was there with the doctor, and they pretty much kept her sedated and confined until she had the baby. Now, this baby was pretty much born into a situation that she didn't want him. Now, she did have the baby, of course, and she was like almost comatose while having this baby. And she didn't want to touch the baby, feed the baby. She didn't want anything to do with this baby. Eventually, she started to get back to her old self. She ended up, the nurse or lady, whoever was there to care for her, she ended up tricking her to make a phone call for her saying that it was her sister or aunt or something. And what we find out is she was calling Miss Eves. Now, after that call, she did speak in code. The woman called back. And when she did, Miss Eves automatically said, I'm coming to get you. I love you. Da 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 da. And so she knew that the old girl was full of it. But before she could even say a word, she stabbed him and killed her while the baby is watching in the crib. And what he ended up doing was laughing. And it turned out that woman was pregnant herself. And while she tried to escape to be with her boo, here comes the father. She ends up pushing him. He cracked his head open, pushed him down the stairs, killed him. And she ran to go be with her lover. And while they were together in that little house on wheels, they thought they were cool, but the baby showed up there, which was really creepy. And I don't know how that baby did that. Kendall, you say I didn't care for her husband and the other family members. I mean, they basically forced her to have this baby while she was confined against her will. I mean, women's rights to the extreme was taken away. You can't confine this woman and make her have your baby, um, regardless of what you believe. But at that time, not only did she not have that many rights, but being a lesbian was extremely frowned upon. And they had to meet in like separate hiding spots, all the lesbians, and party together and stuff. And so it was very sad that they had to go through something like that. So we got to see all these different versions of events take place. And unfortunately, the mother, after being with Miss Eves again, decided to commit suicide by walking into the ocean and drowning. And Miss Eves was kind of left with the baby when it came to the end. And it looks like it's going to be similar to like a cult type thing going on with this baby in the next episode. So it's definitely interesting. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So this baby is like 30 years old because she was in her 30 years old, they said, when the police were looking for her. So if she's at least in her 50s to 60, that baby's at least 20 to 30 years old and still a baby, which is just insane. So we'll see how this all plays out. Tamika, you say, I'm enjoying both of these shows. Thanks, Jay, for putting me on. I've been telling other people about them too. Definitely. A lot of people don't like to give certain things a chance, but this show is actually pretty good. It's on HBO, which I'll always give shows on HBO a chance because HBO's track record is just amazing. Very few times do they have bad shows. So HBO, they got hits, for years, for going on 30, 40 years worth of hits. So it's really hard to argue with that. You may have some networks up and really Showtime and HBO, they the OGs. Cinemax used to be up there at one time, but now they're a part of HBO. which is why it's called HBO Max, HBO and Cinemax. So, you know, it's not the same though. Yeah, HBO started all this, man. The shows are hour long with no commercials. So you can go all the way back to Dream On and all type of stuff. I used to watch Dream On in the 80s. Anyway, remember First and 10? OJ Simpson used to be on First and 10, the football show. Anyway, let's get into the Mosco for the baby episode 5. All right, the Mosco is 4 simple categories with a top score of 25 points each, bringing it to a total of 100. You can always break it down a decimal point to get a score of 1 to 10 with a 0.5 margin of discretion in either direction. So, the first category is visuals and cinematography. This does have some unique elements, but nothing very out of the ordinary that would blow you away. I still like how sometimes they show the baby. It's like very interesting how he reacts to certain stuff. But other than that, they use good cameras and things of that nature, and no angles that are too unique other than the baby's things. So overall, for this visuals and cinematography, I would give it a 20. Storyline and plot is actually getting really juicy. I did like seeing this backstory of the baby and the mother and Miss Eves and all of that. And I would give it a 20 as well. Special effects and makeup and costumes, nothing over the top or unique, really. Looked like they were wearing stuff from the 80s or something like that, maybe. Um, or early 90s. Um, so with that being said, um, and they didn't really the special effects of her stabbing the woman or the father falling down the stairs did look pretty good, and that was a good looking special effect. Looked like he actually did fall down the stairs and break his neck. So as far as that, I would give it a 20 for this episode. And entertaining fun factor, this was very good. Very interesting. It's definitely moving the story along and giving you more information about the baby and where it come from. So I would give it another 20, bringing it to a Mosco of 80. Okay. Of course, you can always round it to a score of an 8, or you can always adjust 0.5 in either direction, and I could see how you will get that score. Overall, the baby was very good, a solid B. All 3 shows would get a B or better on the scorecard, and definitely is making up for this time period when some of the shows we normally would watch on this channel and review are not available right this moment. So definitely give HBO a chance at 9 p.m. on Sundays. That's 9 p.m. Eastern time. And I think you'll have some good entertainment for right now. Tomorrow is We Own the City, episode 5. That's another excellent show on HBO. Comes on every Monday at 9 p.m. Definitely worth watching. I think that everybody should take a look at that, about the crime and corruption in Baltimore Police Department after the Freddie Gray death, murder, and the riots that began afterwards. And it's got definitely a good way of portraying everything. It's created by the same people that created The Wire, another classic HBO show. And I think that it is definitely worth watching. It's only a 6-episode limited series, and episode 5 is tomorrow. If you're looking for something to watch, definitely watch and catch up with it. And I'm telling you, them first 4 episodes will go by in no time, and you'll be ready for the 5th episode tomorrow. So check it out. And Kendall, I agree. It is nice to watch something different for a change. I try to tell people all the time, how much power and gangster and killing could you watch over and over and over again? I like to mix it up and watch a lot of different stuff. Not that I don't like that other genre, but I can't just watch that only and or nothing else. I like to watch a variety of different things, and that gives me also a better perspective on what's a good show and what's not. Some people say certain things are a 10, but they don't watch anything else, so they don't actually know what a really good show could be. And that's a shame. Anyway, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching. Kendall, Tamika, um, you know, who else was here? Kelly, One Journey, that girl. I appreciate y'all all for coming through. Definitely, I appreciate the support. It looked like only my ladies came to support a brother tonight. Not too many of the guys are too supportive tonight. But let's hope they expand their horizons, like Kendall said. All right. Everybody, y'all have a good night and a great weekend. And I'll see y'all on the next video. Everybody, peace. Be safe. Blessings. And I'm out of here. Deuces.